This is the feast of the Holy Trinity, and if I were to sum it up in a phrase, one God, three persons. That's it. It's a mystery. Through time and space, different images, different illustrations have been used to explain how can something be one thing and yet have three distinct parts that aren't distinct, they're all united and indivisible. One God, three persons. What I want to focus on today is how God, in this revelation of the Trinity, comes to us. And there's a special word for it. It's called communion. Cum unio. Unio, unity. Cum means with. United together. Communion. God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is a communion. A communion of three persons. They're indivisible. They're interwoven. They're connected. And the interesting thing is, so when the communion of the Trinity sends forth and Jesus comes, the second person of that Trinity, into the world, what does he do? He starts to build communion. He starts gathering disciples and apostles, and he brings them together. He creates this group, and they get connected. They're not perfect. In fact, they're imperfect. But they're still connected. And after his death and resurrection, he says, "Go therefore to all the nations." So you start going out into the world and build more community, more communion, more connection. And I will submit today that it's this sense of communion that's crucial. It's that sense when we are connected, united, when our souls have bridges that reach out and the divisions are knocked down. Communion is modeled by God. It was modeled by Jesus, so it can be a part of our life. Today, what I would like to suggest is then, if communion is so important from this very notion of the Trinity, then I would ask, what's the state of the relationships, the communion in our lives? Let me be blunt. How are things going in our family? In our friendships? How's it going at work? In the neighborhood? How's it going with the people in the pew? Communion, simply put, could be measured kind of from the gut in a really, really easy way. Could this make it to heaven? We're all works in progress, and none of us are perfect, but let me say it this way. Does what I have in those relationships at home, could that get to heaven? Or is there something there that's not worthy of heaven? The people at work, is that going to get to heaven? Or do I have to put some effort and energy into those relationships? People in the neighborhood, the people in the pew, the people in my life. Are the connections sound and wholesome and strong and good? Or do I have work to do? Because if I see something in the communion of my life that needs work, friends, how do each one of us be part of the solution? How do each one of us look and say, how can I make this better? Because there's something that's not right here, and maybe I have a chance, maybe I have an opportunity, maybe I have a way to bring it to a better place. Maybe there's something I can do to bring healing, or frankly, just I need to put more fuel on it. It's a good relationship. It could be so much more. It's a beautiful thing, but you know what? Just a little time and a little attention and a little care, and it could thrive. I think about my family. My sister lives in Indiana. My mom and dad are 90 miles south of here in Cumberland. Just the time is so rare when we're all together. My sister with her husband and their kids, my mom and my dad, myself, that's a rare, it's like a Halley's Comet moment these days to get everybody together. So if there's distance, then how do we stay connected? How do we reach out to one another? How about at work? How about in my life? Are there places where the communion could be better? If so, then we have to say, then how do I help it? Now, I'm going to just make this a piece. When we receive Holy Communion, what's happening? Jesus wants to be united with us. Jesus wants to dwell in us. His body and blood in our body flowing through our blood. That's a communion. So we don't have to do this on our own. We have supernatural strength to help us build communion. What happens at the altar strengthens us to go out those doors and build the communion in our lives. It's not us. It's God working through us. And if there are parts of our life that frankly we say, "This is bigger than me," then that's exactly when we say, "Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, will you touch and bless this? Because I need your help. I need your strength. I need your grace to bring communion to this part of my life." God calls us into communion. God gives us communion so we can build communion. Friends, today in the feast of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 persons, 1 God, a communion. May that communion find a way to our hearts, to our homes, and throughout our lives. God bless you all.